Alright, so hi guys. Hopefully my audio's okay. I've been having some issues with my mic and some people have been complaining about it, so hopefully I messed with some settings and it's a little better. I hope. I don't know much else to do. Yeah, air conditioning's going because, again, summer, we're dying, and I'd rather have my air conditioning on and the light hum in the background than you guys having to listen to me, like, constantly fanning myself or sweating or something. You can hear me sweat, but I'd get... Anyway, I'm rambling. So, in one of my most recent videos, I actually got quite a bit of negative feedback where people were upset with how I titled the video and, like, how I married my high school sweetheart. And I do want to apologize because enough people have upvoted, like, bad comments and have voiced their opinions that this isn't what they wanted, and I do greatly apologize for that. I more so, when I had it, my intention was, yeah, this is how I married my high school sweetheart, and the how of a 10-year relationship to getting married, and how we made it to the steps to marriage. That was my intention when I made that video, when I titled it, when I did the audio for it. But here's gonna be the nitty gritty, like, actual step-by-step how we got from engagement to married, because I guess that's what more people wanted. Again, I do greatly apologize for the miscommunication. I do. It's one of those things where if you get a couple of bad comments, it's one thing, but when you get enough, or a couple of bad comments that have enough upvotes that clearly more people had this issue, then that is an issue on my part, not my audience's part. So I do apologize there. So I actually wrote down the like step by step of how we got married, and I'm gonna say where we got married because I got married 2 years ago at the time of recording this. So, like, there's no point in doxing and everything. And because of the sick spiky round boy going around right now, not a lot of people can get married at places like they wanted. So I know that's also a hard thing. But yeah, so let's just get into it. So I should start with the fact that my husband proposed to me in front of the first Deadpool movie, which is where we had our first date. Our family and friends were there. Everything was great. But as I said in my last very long video, we had talked about marriage, and we had talked about things, and I, like, already picked out the ring, and it was a surprise on the day, but I knew when it was I knew it was gonna happen eventually, if that makes any sense. So we wanted a 2-year engagement because numbers meant a lot to us, and we wanted to get married on our 10-year, like, relationship, because not on our anniversary. Our anniversary is in November, both of our birthdays are in November, and we wanted to knock it out and have it in October. But, just quick summary, when we eventually have kids, we didn't want it on Halloween, so that way, we can, like, celebrate our anniversary and still have, like, Halloween with our kids when we eventually have kids and stuff like that. So that's why we moved it in October, so that way November had, like, a little bit of breathing room since, like I said, both of our birthdays are in that month. So what ended up happening was we had 2 years. So the first full year, we were just planning. We were, like, trying to save up. Things were going really bad. 2017 was a very bad year. 2018, besides my wedding and San Japan, it was probably one of the worst years of my life. If it was not for those two things, which are two very big things, but two very big things don't save a bad year. So I'm just putting that out there right now. I said earlier that I didn't want to make, negative videos in July, but there are some facts that I just sadly have to say, and they are a bit negative, and I do apologize for that, but there's no way to, like, get around it, because then I would not be authentically me if I sugarcoated the truth just because I wanted to make a positive video. So for the first year, so in 2017, we were thinking of things to do. We were planning things, getting themes, getting ideas. Something that actually originally happened that I didn't mention was Cody found a person to make him a tailored suit. That turned out to be a scam. We never publicly talked about it, and I never wanted to openly ostracize this person or their company, but they did scam us out of about $300, which we never got back. It was going to be a lot more because he wanted a custom suit, and we were willing to pay it, but literally he went to about 3 meetings, paid 3 times, and then every time he tried contacting the person for more fittings, for more payments, never heard anything back. Contacted everything, nothing, and then it got to a point where we eventually, in 2018, so a year later from that period, we actually found that same tailor at a show. I don't want to say which one because I don't want to out them, but we found them at a specific like show we went to, and Cody went there and he stopped himself because he didn't want to make a scene. But my husband did go there and he did want to ask for a refund, but he didn't, and he never got the refund. And it's just one of those things where I tell people, because this person is a very talented seamstress, so I don't want to knock them for that, but don't get custom work from them. We've warned friends, like, if you get stuff from this person, get stuff that's already made, because apparently they have a pretty bad record of, if it's a custom thing and you are not like, if you are not like scary pushy, which you shouldn't have to be, and especially in that industry, you're not going to get your stuff and they're just going to keep your money. So that was already a bad taste in our mouths. And we had talked about a lot of things. We had picked our wedding parties. A lot of stuff was happening. I was going through a lot of friend drama at the time. And so I was like going around like who was going to be my wedding party, who wasn't going to be my wedding party, what we were going to do for money, plans, things like that. But what happened was we had stumbled across a place where we went there for a date one night. And it was really nice. It was the Edward Dean Museum. And the museum is, I know it's like sounds sponsored, but it's where I got married, and it's just a fact. So it's not sponsored. This is where I got married. They're not giving me money to show this out. This is just where it was. And I'll do my best to have like pictures on screen if I got my editing issue fixed. So what ended up happening was we went there for a date. We went to the museum and we went to the garden, and it was beautiful. And we found they did weddings. And we were like, isn't it weird that when we found this place randomly on a date night that we go here? This would be a great place to go. And so we were talking about it and thinking things and financially working through things, and things were getting bad. Things were getting bad, really bad, with our living situation, with our finances, it was just a bad time. Just a bad time. It wasn't a good time. And so we were trying to think of what to do, and we came to the conclusion that, like, hey, if we don't get the money to have our wedding, because our wedding wasn't that expensive, all in all, and people are probably going to flip out, but our wedding, for everything, that includes venue, clothes, props, food, presents, makeup, photography, all of it cost about $10,000. That's still a lot of money, and we're not saying it's not. And my big thing for why it was that way was that was the cheapest we could get it for what we needed. So, and I'm going to go into that now. So what ended up happening was I had made a GoFundMe. It was really hard for me to come to terms with it because I have a very hard time asking people for money, like, that I'm not working for. But I felt desperate, and I thought, you know what, I have to at least, I've always been a firm believer in, I have to at least give it a shot. I have to give it a shot to say that I tried and did it, then wonder if I never tried at all. And so we did it. We made about $2,000, which was amazing, and that we were so grateful for it. And if it wasn't for you guys, unless you're new here, but I hate to say the original people, but the people who donated, we wouldn't have the wedding we had, because we had a lot of family members on both sides who didn't want to give either of us a penny, because we had been together so long. They didn't see the point for why we wanted a wedding, when we wanted a wedding because we never thought we could get married. This is something we wanted. You know, we wanted to have it be a special day, and we had come to the conclusion that even if we couldn't have the money and we couldn't get the things we wanted, we would do a courthouse wedding, because something I was very adamant on, and this is a me thing, this is a Michie thing, I did not want a backyard wedding. I've seen beautiful backyard weddings. I've seen friends have beautiful backyard weddings. Did not want a backyard wedding. I didn't. There was a lot of issues with family at the time. There was a lot of drama. And the last thing I want on my wedding day, I'm going to call it be selfish, the last thing I wanted on my wedding day was more drama and a lot of strife, and either my family or Cody's family or our friends who have been in the situation to feel super uncomfortable. But you know what? I'm going to grin and bear it because it's Michelle and Cody's day. I'm going to be miserable, uncomfortable, and anxious, but I'm going to grin and bear it. We didn't want that. That's not what we wanted on our wedding day, and we didn't have that. So we had found the Edward Dean Museum, and if I remember correctly, I could be a little off in the price, but I remember it was about $4,000. I believe it was actually about $4,000. For the venue. Now, the venue came with the wedding planner, and we got the entire place for 24 hours. which is an amazing deal. And when we met with the wedding planner, he informed us of a lot of stuff we didn't know about. California has a lot of stupid rules if you want to get married and you don't want to do a backyard wedding and do it technically illegally. Because a lot of people can get away with it by doing backyard weddings and doing a lot of stuff illegally. But we learned a lot of stuff from this wedding planner. We learned that you have to get a caterer with a special certified license to cater specifically weddings. You can't just get a random caterer. They have to have a certificate in that, or else the venue or a person at your wedding could sue you, the bride and groom, for whatever they want. They could sue you and they would win, because my state's dumb. There was that. There was, if we had alcohol, we had to have a licensed bartender. You know, obviously if you have a friend who has a bartender license, that's fine, but they have to be licensed, or again, they could be sued. You could not, because we're going to a venue, you could not bring homemade goods unless it was through a certified person, because people had been poisoned and been trying to kill people at weddings, and there was a lot of legalities that we didn't know, that we would have never known. And I hate to say it, but with mine and my husband's luck, we probably would have been sued, because there are some pretty terrible people in our families and people we know. We would hope not, but the lady who worked with us, who worked for the venue, I don't want to say owned the venue, but she informed us that at a wedding, a bridesmaid tripped and fell and sued the bride and won because of those stupid legalities. And the thought of that made me so upset and so anxious. I'm actually a very anxious, very paranoid person. I know it might not come off that way, but I am. And it can be a real pain sometimes. But with that being said, we wanted to do everything properly, and we were so grateful for our wedding planner. Through the wedding planner, we were able to find an amazing photographer. We were able to find amazing cooks. We were able to find everything for very fair prices compared to what we were looking at. We were looking at places that we thought were cheaper, and it wasn't. It was cheaper to go with the wedding planners people, and with a lot of other things, and we had to pick and choose things. And because of the GoFundMe, while we didn't hit our goal, that money it still makes me mad. I know it shouldn't, but it does make me mad to this day. That exact words that were told to my face from family members of both sides were, "Oh, well, if random strangers on the internet are going to give you guys money, yeah, we'll help you out." I kid you not. If it wasn't for the GoFundMe, we wouldn't have had family helping us out whatsoever, because so many family members, I can literally think of 3, not including my siblings, 3 family members all together collectively through our entire family, mine and my husband's, who actually wanted to help us. So many others were, well, if it's not at my place, then I'm not helping. Oh, well, if it's not at their place, I'm not helping. Oh, if we're not doing it my way, because I know it's your wedding, if we're not doing it my way, then I'm not helping, because you don't need to get married because you've been together so long. It was a very toxic environment, but because of the amazing, generous people that did not have to donate, by the way. I made sure in that video when I was emotional, I was crying, but I made sure to be clear, you don't have to donate. Yes, weddings are not a necessity, but it is something I wanted so greatly. And if it wasn't for you guys giving us that little bit, I know it might not seem like a lot, but in the grand scheme, it was a little bit, but it was the little bit that was the spark that got other people to get off of their asses and to help us out. And so once we had gotten everything, we had gotten, Cody had rented a suit, but his grandmother made him a custom vest. I had my dress, which I got off of Pyramid Magazine, pyramidmagazine.com. It's around, I don't know if it went up in price, but it was around $200 to $300, because that was the dress I wanted, and I loved it, and I still have that dress, and it is a beautiful dress. Same with the shoes. I believe my shoes were about $70, and I know that must seem like a lot to some people, but with people finally helping us out, and things were looking better for us. Things were getting greater. Things were really helping with what was happening with us. And there was a downside, though. And this is really important. I might not come like it, and I know some people are upset when I bring this up again, but it is very important. It is a part of our history. So that last summer, we had everything paid off. Everything was paid off for the wedding. My family and friends had their plane tickets. People had their outfits. We had the flowers. We had the food. We had one of my brothers was generous enough, and he actually bought the bartender and the alcohol for the wedding. And we had everything ready to go. We were super excited, but the problem was with where we both were financially and how California was at the time. We weren't living on our own. We couldn't afford to live on our own. Everywhere we tried looking, whether it be with roommates or people or just people online, they were never working out. The money was, we just didn't have the money. Bottom line, we didn't have the money, even though we both worked full-time jobs. It was very disheartening, very stressful, and we were living in a very, very negative environment. Well, what had happened was, over that summer, the summer right before my wedding, I went to San Japan, and it was amazing. San Japan 2018 was amazing. It was beautiful. I got to meet my friends. I got to work a con. Everything was beautiful. There's no other way around it. It was some of my best memories. And we went back home. We were looking for places to live. We were actively looking for places to live. We were looking constantly. We were looking in our price range. We were, compromising. I was applying for jobs like crazy because we just didn't have enough money. We did not have enough money because of where we live. And I know people always make the excuse of, well, they should have just left. Oh, why didn't you just leave? How are you you can't just leave. It's one of those like big irritations that a lot of people who don't understand. Unless you literally have nothing, you can't just leave. And even if you leave, you have to have a guarantee that there is something waiting for you on the other side. We didn't have that either. It's not like we could leave and get a job. You know what I mean? There's a push and pull to all of this. But my husband was looking for more work, looking for other things. I was looking for other things. And we were pretty much told over the phone, because of issues that we were living with, that we had less than 3 days to find a new place to live. A lot of people have tried debating me that doesn't consider being homeless. I would like to interject with that because of the fact that I had to spend hours having a breakdown, calling people, figuring out where we were going to live. While we had a roof over our head, it wasn't like, oh yeah, come live with us. It was, a family member was more like, oh, well, you've got nowhere else to go and you've got a wedding in a month. You can stay with us. You can stay. Like, we'll make it work. And I'm still eternally grateful for that, because if it wasn't for that, we would have probably had to have been couch hopping with people. We would have most likely had to get rid of our pets. There was a lot going on at that time, right before we were getting married. And the real kick in the teeth was that my husband had just gotten a good job. He just wasn't starting yet. We were waiting for the call back, and he got the call back. So he had now gotten his new job. Things were looking better. We were living with very, very amazing family members that took us in. But it was not a good time. It was not a good time. It was not a fun time. It was probably one of the hardest times I've ever been through. And I know that must sound really privileged to say that, but I had never been through something like that. I had never had to call every family member and every friend crying, trying to see if we could find a place to live because we had less than 3 days notice. And something else I need to point out, we were not allowed to go back to our old living situation to gather our things. I literally could not pack my own things until the day before we were moving into our apartment. I'm not kidding. We were not allowed back over there. It was a very hard, very stressful time, and I did talk about it a lot, and it was something that I still hold a lot of negative feelings for. I know I'm getting heated here talking about it now, but I have been able to forgive, but not forget. I had to because of other situations that are out of my control for right now. And it's one of those things where forgiveness is very hard, but you cannot forget that memory. That's the importance of it. Because when you forget instances like that, the abusers win. Because that's what it was. To this day, those people deny what happened to us, and we have to keep reminding them and showing them the phone calls, because we recorded them and kept them because they wouldn't be able to gaslight us. And that was a very toxic situation, and because of other reasons, we cannot just leave them out of our lives. So, forgive, don't forget. We were able to move into our new apartment. Everything was beautiful, but we had the wedding. So realistically, it didn't hit us that we were act like this was ours. My husband and I were in such a negative spot, and we were so scared of everything just being ripped out from under us. And then there were other issues when the actual wedding day happened. If you guys would like, because this video is already getting long, I don't want it to be too long, I can do like a mini little thing where I talk about how my wedding was almost a disaster. But, because there were a lot of funny stuff that actually happened on the wedding day, but that, if I go into all that here, again, I know I sound like I'm milking it, I'm not trying to. But if you do want to know that story, it'll be a separate video, because I just don't want this to be longer than it already is. But, wedding day came around, woke up, got ready, got everything, got out with my friends, had the drama and the issues. But the second I was holding my dad's arm and I heard that Undertale music cue, because yes, I walked down the aisle to his theme from Undertale because I'm trash. It was magical. It was the definition of what they always say. I had never felt so happy and everything wash away. And I always thought it was very cliche for people to be like, oh, you don't see anybody. I didn't notice anything, to the point that I didn't even realize until after we had done our vows and done our hand fasting and everything else that our official, who's a friend, forgot to tell everybody to sit back down, so everybody was standing during the entirety of our ceremony. And then we got to have the pictures and the day, and it just like washed over us, and it was so much fun. But oh my god, were we so tired? We were so tired. Oh, it was like when we needed those full 24 hours of getting there to leaving for setting up the event, because we didn't get home until I think like 3 or 4 in the morning, just from like pulling everything down. We weren't even drunk. We were just tired. And I remember waking up in the middle of the night, like once I slept for like an hour or two, and then I woke up, and I remember being like, we did it. We did it. We're free. We're never going to be in those terrible situations again. And now I'm married to my best friend. And then I decided that I hated my hair because I'd been growing my hair out for 2 years. So I just took scissors and I just cut my hair in random places. It looked like a hot mess. The next day I went and got it fixed. But it was great. I know it's a terrible thing to like say, but my husband woke up the next day after our wedding seeing that I literally decimated my hair. And we got to like actually enjoy our apartment. This is because we were doing so much. He had just started a job. We had been moving, pets, everything else. So we got to have a nice staycation for our honeymoon. We didn't technically have a honeymoon. We just binged in our apartment with no furniture. I think I had my desk, maybe. I don't remember. But I remember I had we didn't have a couch. We didn't have a kitchen table. We just had our 2 chairs and our TV. And we just binged out and slept. And enjoyed having an apartment, and enjoyed being free, and enjoyed being a married couple. And so, I guess that is the, how-to step-by-step of how we got married. Hopefully that's better for you guys. Again, I do apologize for my last one. I didn't intend for it to be clickbaity because, like I said, my intent was this is how I got to a 10-year relationship from here to here. But anyway, I'm rambling. Thank you, as always, to my amazing Patreon patrons. Hopefully my audio is also better. And thank you so much for making this possible. As always, guys, I will see you next time. Bye!